October 31, 1970, was a night shrouded in the smell of pumpkin guts and autumn leaves, the streets alive with children's laughter as they went door to door collecting candy. In the small Midwestern town of Willow Creek, Halloween was the one night everyone could escape their monotonous lives. But beneath the costumes and carved jack-o'-lanterns lurked something far darker. A man named Victor Calloway moved silently through the streets that night. Victor, once a respected teacher at the local high school, had become a recluse after a devastating event shattered his world. 5 years earlier, his wife and only son had died in a car accident caused by a group of drunk teenagers who had fled the scene. Justice had eluded him. The teenagers' families, wealthy and influential, had ensured their children faced no consequences. The injustice festered in Victor, warping his grief into something cold and sharp. By Halloween night in 1970, Victor's grief had turned into a meticulous plan. Wearing a homemade mask to hide his face, Victor began his grim work. His first victim was one of the teenagers responsible for his family's death, now an adult who had moved on with life as if nothing had happened. By dawn, the town awoke to the news of a gruesome murder, and the legend of the Halloween Reaper was born. Detectives David Martinez and Jessica Jones were assigned to the case in 1975 after the Halloween killings had continued for 5 years. Martinez, a seasoned investigator known for his relentless drive, immediately saw patterns others had missed. Jessica, sharp and intuitive, complemented his approach with a knack for reading people. Together, they formed a formidable team. "It's not random," David said, studying the crime scene photos from the latest murder. "Each victim has a connection. It's personal for him." Jessica nodded. "But he's patient. He waits a full year before striking again. That kind of control is rare." As they dug deeper, they uncovered the tragedy that had consumed Victor Calloway's life. Witnesses spoke of his transformation from a kind-hearted teacher to a man haunted by loss. They pieced together the thread linking the victims. All had played a role, however small, in the tragedy that had taken his family. By 1977, Willow Creek was gripped by fear. Halloween celebrations became subdued as parents kept their children indoors. Businesses shut their doors early, and the streets emptied before nightfall. Despite increased police presence, Victor eluded capture, his meticulous planning and knowledge of the town's layout giving him the upper hand. David and Jessica's frustration grew with each passing year. They tracked every lead, interrogated anyone who had known Victor, and even set up elaborate traps. But Victor always slipped through their fingers. For him, Halloween had become a ritual, a night to balance the scales of justice in his own twisted way. October 31, 1979, marked a decade since the first Halloween killing. David and Jessica were more determined than ever to end Victor's reign of terror. That year, they uncovered a critical piece of evidence. Victor's wife had kept a journal, which revealed his deep-seated belief in karmic justice. "He's not just avenging his family," Jessica said, reading an excerpt aloud. "He thinks he's fixing the world. Every victim is someone he deems unworthy to live." The detectives set up their final trap at the abandoned church where Victor's family had once worshipped. They guessed it might be his next target, a symbolic place to end his spree. Hidden in the shadows, they waited, tense and silent. Hours passed, and just when doubt began to creep in, they heard footsteps. Victor appeared, his mask more grotesque than ever, a patchwork of faces that seemed to sneer in the flickering candlelight. In his hand was a long blade, gleaming even in the dim light. He moved with the confidence of a man who believed in his purpose. David and Jessica stepped out, guns drawn. "It's over, Victor," David said. You don't have to do this anymore. Victor froze, his eyes narrowing behind the mask. Do you think they deserve to live? Those who caused pain and walked away free? Jessica's voice was firm. That's not your choice to make. The confrontation was explosive. Victor, fueled by years of rage and grief, fought like a man possessed. The detectives matched his intensity, their training and determination pushing them forward. In the end, it was Jessica who delivered the fatal shot, the bullet striking Victor square in the chest. He fell to his knees, the blade slipping from his grasp. As Victor lay dying, he whispered something that chilled them both. I'm not the only one. There are others who see the world as I do. David's brow furrowed. What do you mean, others? Victor's lips curled into a faint smile. You'll see. Someday, you'll understand. With that, he took his final breath. In the aftermath, David and Jessica searched for any evidence of Victor's claim but found nothing concrete. The masks were burned, the church demolished, and Willow Creek began to rebuild. Yet the words Victor had spoken lingered, a shadow over their triumph. Every Halloween, David and Jessica couldn't help but feel a sense of unease, as if Victor's prophecy might one day come true. And in the quiet corners of the town, where shadows stretched long and dark, the legend of the Halloween Reaper lived on, whispered by those who wondered if justice might wear a mask once more. The years following Victor Calloway's death were quieter for Willow Creek. Halloween returned to its light-hearted traditions, though the shadow of the Reaper lingered in the collective memory. David Martinez and Jessica Jones continued their careers, but the case haunted them, especially Victor's chilling final words. In 1982, on the third anniversary of Victor's death, the quiet town experienced an eerily familiar horror. A body was discovered in the woods near the old Calloway house. The victim was a local business owner known for exploiting his employees. The crime scene bore the same grisly trademarks as the Reaper's killings: precision, rage, and the hallmark of a mask left behind, this one painted with fresh blood. David and Jessica, though now working on separate cases, were immediately called back to Willow Creek. The scene was too similar to ignore. "This can't be Victor," Jessica said, her voice steady but uncertain. "We watched him die." David examined the mask. "No. But someone's picking up where he left off. Maybe he wasn't lying about there being others." Their investigation led them to unsettling conclusions. Victor's journal, long thought to be a personal manifesto, contained references to correspondence with a disciple. Cryptic entries mentioned someone Victor called the true believer, someone who shared his philosophy and vowed to continue his work. Through interviews and digging into Victor's past, David and Jessica uncovered a name: Peter Lang, a former student of Victor's who had disappeared after high school. Lang, a loner with a history of violence, had idolized Victor, seeing him as a misunderstood genius rather than a man consumed by grief and vengeance. Tracking Lang was a challenge. He had no known address, no steady job, and lived off the grid. But the murders continued, each one on Halloween night, each victim someone with a history of wrongdoing. Lang's brutality surpassed Victor's. His victims showed signs of prolonged suffering before death, as if he relished their pain. By 1985, the case had reached a breaking point. David and Jessica's pursuit led them to an abandoned factory on the outskirts of town. Inside, they found a macabre shrine to Victor. Masks adorning the walls, newspaper clippings of the Reaper's murders, and Victor's original journal, now heavily annotated in Lang's handwriting. Lang was waiting for them, his latest mask, a grotesque approximation of Victor's face, covering his features. "You see it now, don't you?" Lang said, his voice steady and calm. Victor was right. This world needs us to cleanse it. David aimed his gun. "You're nothing but a killer, Lang." Whatever Victor believed, this ends here. Lang lunged at them with savage speed, wielding a blade carved with cryptic symbols. The fight was chaotic and brutal, but years of partnership and trust gave David and Jessica the upper hand. Lang was subdued, his mask torn from his face. As Lang was taken into custody, he offered a parting shot. "You can't stop what's already begun." Victor was just the seed. There are others, watching, waiting. You'll never find them all. Though Lang was convicted and sentenced, his words planted a seed of doubt in David and Jessica. In the years that followed, similar murders began to surface across the country, each tied to a cult-like philosophy that echoed Victor's beliefs. For David and Jessica, the case became a haunting reminder of how darkness can spread when given form and purpose. And every Halloween, as shadows stretched long across quiet streets, they couldn't shake the feeling that the Reaper's legacy was far from over.